Alright guys, welcome back to another Dayz tutorial. Now, this wasn't a tutorial I was planning on making, but I got a ticket in my Discord asking if I could do a video showing you how you can create map markers and how you can set up your safe zones using the expansion system. So, we're not using the market, but we are, using Dayz expansion for this one. So, I'm going to show you how to do that nice and easy. Now, first thing you're going to want to do is come to this wiki. In the description box, as always, I'll put a link to where you can come to this. The link will actually take you to this. And then all you kind of need to do is click on wiki. And then it will come to this. Now, so, markers and that. So first thing we'll do, if we scroll down, we can actually go to Safezone settings. So we're in the expansion settings on the right here. Scroll down and click on Safezone settings. Now read this. So I'm going to show you how to set it up, but I'm not going to go over what the settings do. So read this. It's not that difficult to read. Basically, a lot of the settings is either on or off. So if you see a 0, it's off. If you see a 1, it's on. So safe zones, you can turn safe zones off with a 0, or you can put them on by 1. Now I think most of it is on as default, but again, you can change it. And a lot of it, maybe not in this file, but the next file we're going to go in, a lot of it is you can turn them on or off. Right, anyway, I've gone down too far. So the really interesting things that we really need, or I say interesting, the things that we mainly need is there's 3 different ways I see that you can do this. You can set up circle zones, which uses like this system there. And I'll show you how we can put this into our server in a second. If we scroll down, we can use like a cylinder zone system, which is what we're going to try in this video. I've not used the cylinder zones myself, so we're going to try it. I'm going to hopefully show you that it is actually working. But you add this to your server exactly the same way you add this, but I will show you. And the last one is we've got some polygon zones. Now, if I'm being totally honest, I don't actually really know how this works. I know how you add it into your server, but it looks like, you just set up a position or, multiple positions depending on how many markers or how many safe zones you've got. And it kind of looks like I don't see a radius. So basically you set up this position for the safe zone, but I don't see a radius system. Like, when does it know your safe zone starts and when does it know it finishes? So this polygon zones, I'm not actually too sure how this actually works. Maybe the only thing that I've just thought of is maybe you set up a zone where it starts, and you use these multiple positions. So we've got 5 positions here, right? And you use these, and these 5 positions maybe do the area of the safe zone, the outline. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but I would just say typically, you're probably just best off using the circle zones. I think that's what most people use. But also also cylinder zones looks pretty good, and we're going to try this because I like the fact with this one, not only have you got the radius, so how far like it's going to cover, but you've got the height, so how far up. So if you're flying, then if you're above that, you're not going to be in a safe zone. So you can't just go like flying up in the sky 1,000 meters up and still be safe. So I kind of like this. So we're going to mess around with this. I'm going to show you how it works. So let's do this one first, and then we've got one more for the actual map markers. Now, to do this, like I said, I'm just going to do the cylinder one, and all I'm going to do is basically copy this. Copy that bit there, and if you want to do the cylinder one, you copy that bit there. As you can see, I've highlighted blue. I'm hoping that makes sense so far. Then, what I typically do is if I go to your server, we are in, that was safe zone setting. So we go to the safe zone. So again, back on this wiki, we are in the safe zone settings section. So back to your server. Now I'm providing, of course, at this point you've already got expansion installed. Like I said, a guy asked me for this one, but this is also going to probably help, many more other people out rather than just the one. But please make sure you've obviously got expansion installed at this sort of time, and you are ready to go with this. But so go to your MP missions folder, your actual mission, whatever map you're using, the expansion folder, and then settings, and then in there open up the Safezone settings JSON file. Now, if we go down to line 5, line 6, line 7, these are the 3 type of zones. Now, I said I'm going to mess around with the polygon zones, so I'm going to, that bit that I copied, again, a lot of back and forth, I apologise. This bit I copied out the cylinder zones, I am going to paste or edit, if you prefer to do this in Notepad++ and then upload it to your server or any Notepad system you can. I'm just going to do it directly here. But I am going to paste that in. Did I say cylinder? I forgot which one I'm in. We said cylinder. Yeah, polygons there. It's because it's back to front. Look, cylinders there, polygons there. But on server side, you got polygon then cylinder. So make sure you put this in the right one. And then in between the 2 brackets, I'm just going to paste that in. And then what I like to do, you don't need to do this. This square bracket and this like left nipple bracket, as I call it. I'm going to click in between there and push enter. So it puts this nipple bracket on a different line. And then I'm going to do the same with the bottom one. Like so. And then again, if you're doing the circle zones, you do exactly the same with the circle ones. Paste it in between the 2 brackets. But obviously making sure you copy the example out of the circle zone section. Right, that should be nice and simple. Then all you need to do is you need to get your position. So how I like to do this is I use VPP admin tools because it makes it really easy. Log into your server, and I would typically stand in the middle of where you want your safe zone. And then I like to usually make sure there's no really close objects, buildings near me, because sometimes it will copy the position off the building. But I like to look down at the ground and then push P, and it'll copy my position. And it should tell you at the top of your screen, copied player's position. So look out for that. If it says it's copied object position, you know it's got the wrong position. So go and stand where you want your safe zone to be, like in the middle, and then look down. I think you can even look up at the sky, to be honest, and then push P and make sure it copies your position. Then in Notepad, now I've got Notepad open up on my other monitor. I'll just drag it across so you can see. So I've already got some positions and things that I've just been messing around with. But open Notepad up, and you can literally, I haven't got nothing copied now, but you can just push Control and V, and it'll paste in that position that you copied in game. So once you push P in game using the VPP admin tools, come to Notepad, push Control and V, and it'll paste in that position. Then all you need to do is them positions, you put them in to these here. So you got your X, Y, and your Z. Now I need to change this. Let me bring this over. So for me, I've already got my positions here, so I'm just going to add these over there. You just copy your position and change your position. And again, do make sure you copied your player's position and not an object by you, or something that your cursor might be looking at, because I've had a lot of people that say their position's wrong, it's not doing anything, and not just in this, but in general in other trailer mods or stuff, and they've just copied the wrong position. Oh, there we go, press the wrong thing. Right, and we'll copy that, and then literally it's just so simple. You can line it up if you want it nice and tidy. I'm not too bothered, and especially for a tutorial, I'm not that bothered. Did I actually just copy the right one? No. There we go, and then we'll just change that one there. So that's now going to be our center of our safe zone. So when we enter this area, depending on the radius and the height that we set, it'll tell us if we're in safe zone or not when we get to it. Now, again, depending on the map and the area it's in, you kind of got to change the radius to fit the map. So if you're in a big open field, and maybe you don't want a lot of safe zone campers, you can set the radius quite big, so a player hasn't got to run so far in. If you're in a small built-up area, you know, you can put the radius quite small. It just depends on how you want it. I'm just going to do for this, I'm just going to set it to 150. And then I'm also going to do the same for the height. So this should give me a nice sort of cylinder shape safe zone. But again, put in the radius and the height to whatever you feel that's best for your server. So we're going to 150 and 150, and we should be able to, actually I might need to spawn a helicopter to do that one so I can fly up, but yeah, right, anyway, once we've got that, again, there's some settings here. 1 is on, 0 is off. You can choose, it's pretty self-explanatory. Lifetime, if you need to deal with lifetime, like in Safezone, so if you enable the vehicle cleanup by changing that 0 to 1, you can change how many seconds it takes for that to clean up to do. So 3,600 seconds, that's 1 hour. Right, now once we've done that, we're going to save. Well, it should be default, but make sure it is enabled, of course. And then click save. Right, next thing we need to do is we need to put a map marker for that. So when you open up your map, you can actually see where the safe zone is. Or this doesn't have to be generally safe zones. It could be black markets. It's not a safe zone. It could just be random markers on the map, maybe showing players where maybe certain things are as well. But that, don't do it in safe zones. That is for your safe zone. Open up the map settings JSON file, and again, it's in the same location, just in the map settings JSON. Right, now again, a lot of this you'll see we've got zeros and ones, so a lot of this is on or off. Do you want to use this item for this? Yes or no, or on or off. What, 1 being on or yes, 0 being no or off. That's kind of the simplest way of doing it. But again, I'm not going to go over it because it should be pretty easy. And again, if we, go back to the GitHub or the wiki, it will tell you, it will show you like how you do it. Now for the map markers, if we scroll down to, is it server hosting? Yeah, server hosting, and then server markers. Click on that and scroll down. And again, it shows you how it works. It gives you a little example here that you can copy, and just scroll down and it tells you what the settings do. So so some of this, so the visibility is not just 0 or 1. 0 actually, you got 0, 2, 4, 6, and each number does a different thing. So just read this so you're familiar, and if you scroll down more, some examples. Now let me just go back to this, my server. If we go back to Safezone, say we wanted to add more safe zones. So at the minute we've only set up 1. All you can then do is copy the bit that you've done. So from the first nipple bracket down to this nipple bracket, copy that. On this bottom nipple bracket, put a comma, push enter, and then once you've copied it, let me make sure I did copy it, and then paste it in. Now, do make sure the last one does not have a comma at the end. So you see line 25, I've got a comma there. I would delete that if that was my last one. So you only have a comma to separate until you get to the next one. But then you do exactly the same, put in your positions, your radius and your height, and yeah, make sure you save it. Now we're only going to do the example with 1. So we're going to delete that, and we're going to delete this comma there because we don't need a comma on the last one, and because it's only 1, that is the last one. Right, let's just make sure we save that. Right, okay, it'll be the same, so let's go back into map settings, and this is going to be the same for markers. You copy the same principle for adding more map markers. We're only going to do 1 just for the tutorial. Right, okay, so go back to the wiki, and we're in the map marker section. So all I basically would do is copy one of these. So you could either copy it from there, but I would literally just copy it down from just down one of these. So like I said, I'm only going to do 1, so I'm just going to copy from the top nipple bracket, down to this nipple bracket. But if you wanted 2, you could copy, like if you're going to set up 2, oh my god, too far, you could copy 2 and 3, you know, you do 3 and so on, and you would keep going. If there was more map markers you wanted to add that is not on here, so what have we got on here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you wanted 7, 8 or whatever, just copy this and then just copy, you know, generally another one in between the brackets and add it on. Right. But do make sure at the bottom of this file, you know, you have got these 3 brackets like this: nipple, square, nipple. That should be understandable. Right, anyway, so what you would do is on there, so I would probably copy it. Yeah, you could copy that one, but I would probably copy it from down here because it's probably a bit easier. So this one, copy the bracket, this nipple bracket under server markers, not the square one. In your files, you've got this square bracket already there. So just copy from the nipple bracket down to the next nipple bracket. And I'm going to copy one because, like I said, we're only going to show you one example. I'm going to go back to our server, and then you want to find where it says server markers. So line 19. So in between the 2 square brackets, just paste in what you've copied, like so. Now on my notepad, I've already got a thing. You can see it here. So I'm just going to copy this one instead because this has already got my positions. I'm just going to copy that, and then I'm just going to change it there, like so. And I want to go to there, like that. Now, again, what I like to do, you don't have to, you can keep it how it is. I like to make sure these are on different lines. It just, for me, it just makes it a little bit easier to see. This is one there, and I can clearly make out that's a square bracket, that's a square bracket, and that represents, like this square bracket here represents the start of the server markers, and this one down here represents the end. So in between them 2 brackets is where you put all your actual different server markers inside the nipple brackets. And again, like I said, if you used to add more, put a comma there, press enter, and then paste in another one, unless you've already copied more than one from the wiki that I just showed you. But we're just going to delete that and delete that, like so. Now, and then again, go in game. You can use the same position. If you go and stand in the middle, you can use the actual safe zone marker that we used in the other file, and you can use that in this position. So just put in them. The only difference is this middle one. So this is the marker for the height. So this marker will show, depending on where you set it, on the ground or up in the air. And I like to typically set it around 100, maybe 150, 200 meters. So when people are like flying in their helicopters, they can quite easily clearly see the marker as they're flying to know where they're going towards. They don't have to keep opening up the map. But again, change that to however you prefer. Some people just like their marker on the ground, and in which case I think you could pretty much just put, oh, press something which I didn't mean to, but you could just clearly put, hey, that's 0. But we're just going to do 100 meters. Right, and then because also we've set our safe zone to 150 meters, so this marker, we can still go above this marker and be in the safe zone. So maybe what I should do is put that to 150. So as we leave the safe zone, that marker will start dropping below our player, or below as where we're flying, if that makes sense. And then, yeah, so you can keep it as, like, typically it says in the thingy, you want to typically have this as 6 and then this as 1. Now, the MUID, you want to change this. So this is just a unique sort of ID. So this is just basically for you server side. So you can put what trader it is or what marker on the map this is for. The important thing that you're going to see in game and that players are going to see in game is the M_text. So we've just put safe zone. So when we're in game, it will say safe zone. Icons, I'll show you how to do this in a minute, and I'll show you the color. Right, let me just save this. So let me show you where you can get the different icons from, because you can change these. I've just got to remember. Oh, that's what I did put. Got to remember in this file where we got it from. Ah, there. So list of default icon names. So again, in the server hosting category, list of default icon names, and here's all the names of the icons. So we're using the trader icon, which will be down there. But if you wanted a tent icon, you could write in the name tent. You know, and just look at what different types of icons that can be. So this is where you can change the icons. So again, back server files. You could put in the name there of what icon you want. And again, the color, I'm not going to go over it, but it was just in, I think, the file that we was in. Yeah, color. There's a little website here we can go to generate the color you want. And then you basically copy in the numbers and put it into the right section in your file here. So into there, which will give you the color. Right, I think that is, oh, hang on. We copied 2. I don't actually want the 2. And because this is basically the last one, it's the only one, we'll get rid of the comma at the end. But yeah, that is that. Do make sure. So you want to mess with some settings here. So enable map. So we can actually, I think we want to enable map as 1. So by default, when you open up the map, that will show. Otherwise, you've got to go into your map settings and you've got to click on like the 3D or the 2D settings and make sure they're active, you know, so people can see them. Use map on item, yeah. So basically, you want it as I've got it there. You can mess around with if you want a pen to create a marker. If you want a GPS to create a marker, I obviously don't, so we're gonna have it at 0. You can make it so people cannot create or can create markers. So again, turn them on or off there. And you can also make it. They even need a GPS or a map to actually open up the map. But again, you probably want that as 0. And make sure enable server markers is active. And then obviously like that. So basically what you see there is probably kind of what you want. But again, mess around with it to whatever you're liking. Right, and then we're going to click save. Now, also because we're dealing with JSON files, I would suggest once you've edited these files and done what you want to do, go to like Google or whatever search engine you use and search for a JSON like validator and copy in this file into a validator and make sure it's valid and got no errors. I'm not going to do that because I'm pretty confident I've done no errors. I'm quite familiar with how these sort of work, so I'm pretty confident I've got no errors. But for you, if you're not sure or you don't know how JSON files work, I would always make sure your files are validated. That way, when you save it and you restart your server, you know everything's going to work. Right, anyway, so we just double check. We'll save that, and then we're going to close out of this. Now, we're just going to restart the server, and then we're going to log in. Before I do, the guy that's asked me to make this video mentioned something about how you can create red circle markers on your map, saying like no fly zone. Now, I don't know, and I could be wrong. I don't know, and I don't think there is a method where you can go into your files and make it so it's a no-fly zone. I think all that literally is, when you see servers that have that, I think it's literally just a marker. So as we create this marker here, maybe we didn't want this to be a safe zone. We could basically write no fly zone. So when people open up the map, they can see it's a no-fly zone. But I don't think they use expansion to it. There is a PvEZ mod which gives like red circles, so maybe there's something in that they can use. But yeah, so in terms of if you want to do zones where people can't do something, it's more of a visual thing rather than it's going to be automatically enforced. So you would probably need your admins or server owners to obviously make sure people are abiding to what it says, and you probably want like a Discord and some rules or whatever, and, just make sure your players are sticking to the rules. Right, we saved that. Let's close out of this. Right, let's restart the server. We'll log back in and I'll show you it all working. Alright guys, so we are in on the server. Now, something hasn't worked quite as I intended to, and that is the height of the 3D marker. You'll notice in the file we set that to 100 meters. You can see it's clearly only 38 meters up. We've even tried changing it to like 150, 200, and it doesn't move. It's always in that height position. So, where I told you that middle number was the height position on the map marker, that should, in theory, change it. In any other trader system, markers, whatever, that would adjust that. Now, I'm not too sure why it's not. If I find out why it's not, I'll put, you know, how to fix this in the description of this video. So always look out for that. And again, like I mentioned earlier, links to the wiki page, and that will be there too. But apart from that, it's working. So if we open up the map, you can see we got the marker. It says safe zone, and that's there. We are in the safe zone. So if we run out somewhere over here, I think we what 150. You have entered. Well, no, I'm not entered safe zone. I should be leaving safe zone. Yeah, you're leaving safe zone. Oh, you've entered it. Right. There we go. It's because it's like a sphere system. But we are now about 150 meters. Yeah, we are. We are 150 meters away from where we put our... let's just go to the other side of this fence. Just so it doesn't keep thinking we're in or out here. But yeah, so we're out the safe zone. If we go towards it, once we get to within 150 meters, it should come up that we are in the safe zone. And I think this literally is on the border. There we go. We're in that side. So we have got 150 meters. So the point was about here. I set somewhere around there by the ATMs. Oh. And I got kicked off. But you did see that the map marker was there, and we did enter and leave the safe zone. So I mentioned it in the video. Someone asked about a no-fly zone where you could get like a big circle where it marks on the map. Now that, I'm pretty sure, is either, for the mods that I know of, the PvEZ mod, which you can kind of do, mark areas on the map, like mark no build zones or whatever it is, no PvP zones. Or I think if you use the LB Masters, which a lot of like these bigger servers are doing now, the LB Masters group system mod, you can do it in that as well. But that's only a visual, I think, map marker. It doesn't actually enforce no flying. So that's up to the server admins to self-police that. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Until next time, have fun and peace out.